All right, team. This is your host, Charles Becco, and today we will be talking about the Hantavirus, the best stocks for a potential pandemic 2.0. Now, before we begin, a little bit of a disclaimer. As with most things, we're not postulating that the hantavirus is any different than any other virus or fast spreading disease that is here today, gone tomorrow. We're not saying that this is going to be a new pandemic. This watch list is intended to be for the off chance that we will have anything like the previous coronavirus pandemic or something that forces us into lockdowns. More than likely, the hantavirus will probably go away, but in case not, we got the watch list. It starts quiet. Not with tanks, not with a crash, not with a president at a podium. When it comes to a virus, it starts with a fever, a cough, in a cruise ship hallway, a hospital room. Then questions hit the screen. Is this contained? That is the phrase the stock market hates the most. Markets can price in bad news. Prices could go up, they could go down, they could struggle with indecisiveness. That is why we're doing this episode. Not because we're predicting another COVID 19, not because we're fear mongering, but because the modern economy has already shown us how fast it can move if things go bad. More than likely, this won't be bad, but just in case it is, here's the watch list. All right. Hantavirus, best stocks for pandemic 2.0. All right, here's the setup, right? On May the 8th, the CDC said the U.S. government was monitoring a hantavirus outbreak, okay? Link to a cruise ship in the Atlantic called the MV Hondius. That same day, the World Health Organization reported that 7 identified cases as of May 4th had occurred, okay? There were 2 lab confirmed, 5 suspected, and 3 deaths, and 1 critically ill patient. There were also 3 other mild cases. That was the first cluster. On May 11th, the World Health Organization confirmed 7 new cases linked to the cruise ship with 3 deaths. Now, again, this is not COVID. The hantavirus is usually spread from infected rodents, and the virus spreads person to person of people who are in close proximity to each other. Okay. This thing seems to have a 38% kill rate with those it comes in contact with. But they are now saying that the risk to the public is actually low. All right. Now, Wall Street is watching the developments here. Let's look at some of the selection criteria that we made this watch list with. All right. Let's get this. All right. First, we want to kind of replicate some of the conditions from the pandemic, right? Remote work, telehealth, vaccines, antivirals, contactless delivery, digital payments, things like that. All right. And so that's how we separated the meat from the chaff, and we came up with a pretty cool list. And let's get right to it. First up on the list is a pandemic darling that went crazy during the pandemic, and that is Zoom. Okay? Zoom is remote work, remote school, remote everything because you cannot get in touch with people. Okay? Zoom is the cleanest pick here. It's the easiest. During COVID, Zoom became the operating system for remote life. Work, meetings, schools, doctor visits, it did everything. Then the world reopened, growth slowed, and somehow Zoom started to suck. I mean, I don't know what happened. I guess they weren't getting like monstrous amounts of money from its stock, and the services just kind of dribbled away. I mean, we still use it. Zoom does what it does, but there are a lot of competitors. There's Microsoft Meet and other things, yada yada yada. But yeah, basically, as soon as we had to go back to the office and hybrid work started to dribble away, Zoom dropped in relevance. Zoo trades around $107, which is actually pretty healthy for the pandemic plays. I mean, out of all of them, this one was able to kind of maintain some of its market share, which is really impressive. Okay. Zoom has about a $32 billion market cap with a 20x price to earnings ratio and a last reported earnings per share of $5.14. Hey, it's a real company, not cheap, but it's still kicking. Okay, here's the chart on Zoom. Okay, a far cry from its dizzying heights over here at 588. And guys, I want you to take a look at this chart, right? You see what goes up, what surely comes down. Anytime you see a chart goes vertical like that, you can expect a move like that, right? And we let the cat out of the bag here with our next play. It's going to be PayPal, right? But I just wanted you to take a look at these charts here. This is a 10-year chart, monthly timeline. As you can see, we did have levels on all these. These fib levels were already here because we were tracking this throughout the pandemic. We've been doing this a while. Take a seat. All right, so that's Zoom. Let's go on to PayPal. Again, we let the cat out the bag. But we're doing this two at a time because we don't want this video to be 30 minutes like the other ones. All right, so PayPal. Okay, this is a no-brainer. Contactless economy. PayPal is the value pick. Okay, it's not a pure pandemic stock, but it's great for online shopping, no contact payments, remote purchasing, couch commerce, all that. COVID already trained the consumer. We know what we would have to do. There are a lot of other payment systems out there, but PayPal is the thing that, they even use in Europe. I had a business where I was a vendor and I had customers from Europe and they would say, hey, do you take PayPal? And I'd say, yeah, sure. I mean, it was kind of awkward to kind of use PayPal, log in and everything, but no, listen, it worked. All right. The story on PayPal is that it hasn't really yet to bloom. Okay. Wall Street once treated PayPal like a permanent digital player, but it just hasn't yet to bloom. Okay. There's a lot of competition in the payment space, right? And so, PayPal trades around $45, market cap around 41.5 billion, 8x price to earnings. Again, PayPal has not benefited from this kind of AI boom, right? It's kind of gotten left in the dust. I mean, for it to do this, and this is a legit company here at PayPal, right? But you see why it's on the pandemic list because it has this kind of pandemic era chart, and it even fell lower than when, from whence it came, right? Which really sucks for PayPal, right? And so, yeah, not too sure what PayPal wants to do with itself. But for this list, PayPal is there. All right. Next up on the list is Gilead Sciences, right? Okay. Gilead is the healthcare anchor, okay? This is not a meme stock, not a pandemic stock, a real biopharma company with antiviral credibility, scale, big earnings, institutional buyers. I mean, we can't say that, Gilead or any of the other biotechs own the answer to the Hantavirus, but if we were to pick a company, besides, Johnson & Johnson, some of the other plays that may come up with something, Gilead would be right there. The CDC said that there's no specific approved treatment for the hantavirus infection yet. But, Gilead is something that we know Wall Street likes. Um, Wall Street likes companies with infectious disease experience, and Gilead is right there. Gilead trades around $133, market cap of 167 billion. EPS is 7.5, trades at an 18x PE ratio. Real earnings, real company, real healthcare relevance, and so yeah, that's why Gilead is here. Before we look at the chart, let's just look at Pfizer, okay, because we're going to show them together. All right. Again, another familiar pandemic play, right? Pfizer is that boring pharma company, right? During COVID, Pfizer was center stage. After COVID, revenue fell off a cliff. The stock fell out of favor. Wall Street moved on, yada, yada, yada. But if another outbreak hits, right, Pfizer should be right there. Not because Pfizer automatically owns antivirus, but because Pfizer has scale. It has a great vaccine history, regulatory experience, manufacturing capacity, and global distribution. And so, yep, that's Pfizer. Okay, don't want to bore you with any more numbers. Trades about 19x PE ratio. You see the rest of the numbers there. All right, that's Pfizer. Let's take a look at the charts. Let's look at Gilead and Pfizer. Again, tail of the tape. Again, look at Gilead in this time versus Pfizer, right? So, yeah, the Pfizer chart, looks more like one of these pandemic plays. Let me just move that up there. There we go. That's nice, right? Ooh, looks like we got a little buy signal here off of the 50-day simple moving average here on Pfizer. Okay, so, maybe the market knows something. Okay, this is the weekly chart here on Pfizer. Weekly chart here on Gilead, right? All right. Looks like we got a weekly buy signal setting up here on Pfizer. All right. Next up on the list is going to be Chewy. Right? Why Chewy? Well, people love their kids. People really love their pets, okay? And so, yeah, Chewy's on this list because, again, it's another pandemic darling. During COVID, people stayed home, adopted pets, took care of their pets because man's best friend helped to deal with an existential crisis. All right. What does Chewy provide? Pet food, pet medication, toys, supplies, and it's automated, so it's all pretty cool. All right. If anything indoor happens, Chewy becomes relevant again. Not a medical name, but it's this is what we would consider pandemic core, right? Chewy trades around $22, 9.6 billion market cap, PE, very rich, 45x. All right, so, my goodness, that's a mighty big PE for what Chewy does. All right, but hey, if a pandemic were to roll around, Chewy would be on that list. All right, now let's get to some lotto plays. Right, okay, you guys knew this was coming. Myrna, okay. As soon as this Hantavirus stuff started to pop up, Myrna popped like 22% instantly, right? Because everyone knew. Myrna was the pandemic darling, right? It's a rocket fuel name. If vaccine fears come back, lockdowns, Moderna's going to move. It's going to move violent. Okay. Moderna is still kind of dealing with post-COVID fallout. And listen, it has science. It has the platform. It has the pipeline. But it's a lotto because nobody really cares about Myrna like that. I mean, its fundamentals are just meh. That's why it's a lotto pick. And yeah, I mean, if we're heading into lockdowns, you want to have Moderna in your portfolio. Next up on the list, T-Doc. Okay, another pandemic darling. I mean, all the analysts were swearing by a lot of these names. I mean, again, with like Peloton and Beyond Meat. I mean, we have another watch list. We're going to link it in the description where we kind of talk about, the dumpster dive stocks. And yeah, Beyond and Peloton is on that list. And some of the other pandemic plays too, right? Yeah, T-Doc is here because if Hantavirus is actually a thing, this thing is going to go violent again. It's telehealth, right? You call up the doctor, you Zoom the doctor, there you go. It's pretty simple, okay? So that's T-Doc. Let's just look at the charts real quick. Okay, I think I have... I'm supposed to have Myrna and T-Doc on a chart. I got Chewy and Myrna. Okay, so we're just gonna... Again, guys, pandemic tape here. COVID high, womp. Myrna, COVID high, womp again. Okay. Let's just put T-Doc here. I mean, there you go. Tail of the tape, right? I actually remember when these things were happening. When this, like, level broke. Like, over here. Whew. Look at that. Jeez. Just destruction, right? Again, guys, not financial advice. Again, to me, this is not really something that you're holding in your portfolios, right? I mean, these are things that, again, if you hear the words lockdown on TV, there's some concerned people in mass standing in front of a podium. You want to be running to, your trading desk and saying, how are these guys doing? All right. But again, T-Doc, Myrna, these are the lottos. These are the lottos. We do have another lotto here, I believe. Yep. I know. Again, not a lot here. You have T-Doc and I know there, right? Yeah. This is just not good. Not good at all. But yeah, I mean, again, this is another pandemic darling. See, we actually had a violent pop here, and we kind of gave it all up here on the Hantavirus news. But again, there's a reason why these guys are lottos. Again, not things that you want to hold in your portfolio. There goes I know. All right. All right, team. In closing, again, we're not saying that the pandemic 2.0 is coming. We're not saying that you should, be all masked up and, I don't know, being afraid or anything like that. But, if the pandemic or a pandemic-like situation does happen, okay, these names are there for you to potentially take advantage of, right? And so, again, guys, my name is Charles, Brooklyn Traders. Do not get clapped. Thank you, guys, and take care.